Welcome to the New York Outlook for Tuesday, the 27th of February 2024. Starting off with the economic calendar, we have a couple of red folder news events. They are red folder but not so significant as something as GDP, CPI, or interest rates. And for that reason, if you are willing to take a trade when these news events are released, that's okay. However, what I do want to say is that given the current PA, I, for my trading plan specifically, will require that the USD news at 3:30 will need to validate either the London high of the day or a New York high of the day. And then, of course, if the news is validating a particular high of the day, and then 5 p.m. comes out and it's overall mixed result without New York breaking the London low, assuming that it's a London high of the day, then it would mean that we have mixed news, and thus the high of the day, low of the day isn't highly probable to hold, and thus I do my best to get out of that entry. If the overall news release is mixed, but we've got a London high of the day that is validated by New York session taking out the London low, then from that perspective, I'd be happy to keep the trade open because of the mixed news release. Um, However, having said that, if New York puts in a high of the day, and then we've got the 3:30 validating the New York high of the day, and then 5 p.m. news comes out being the opposite of what we require, indicating an overall mixed US session news release, then that New York high of the day is invalid and not considered highly probable. So what I just said will make a lot more sense once we go into the chart. So again, just starting off with the 4 hourly, we know that our primary bias is to short. From a daily perspective. We've got multiple bullish candles which validate to us that we should only be shorting for today, as we anticipate that today will close bearish. Then from a 5 minute perspective, what we then saw is that the Asia high liquidity was taken out. Frankfurt put in a high of the day, and then so did London. However, what we can then see is that London actually took out the Asia range low. So now we're not in a situation warranting aggressive entries, although we do have these previous day Asia lows to target, but the current day has been taken out. So whilst there is I guess there is still reason to be a bit more aggressive in ensuring you take an entry, but having this would have been more highly probable um, just for intraday trading. In terms of how far we've moved from the London high, that's about 26, so we've still got a long way away from the average daily range. And like I said, for this London high of the day to be validated, we need New York news to be positive, suggesting GU short. And then if the 3:30 news is positive, then we can say that the London high of today is likely to hold. However, if the 5 p.m. news comes out and New York hasn't taken out the London low, then we got a mixed news event, and I'll probably try to get out break even from that trade, because I no longer view the London high as validated because the US news is mixed. Obviously, what can happen is New York puts in a high of the day, and then there's potential that the 3:30 will validate a New York high of the day is likely to be held. Again, I will consider that short with the premise of targeting that. However, like I said in the beginning, there are a few considerations to take into account once the 5 p.m. news comes into play. Overall, that's pretty much the New York outlook. Just to summarize, we're purely on a short bias at the moment. We will pay a lot of attention to the upcoming red folder news events for the US session, as those news events are essential to validating whether London high of the day is probable to hold, or if a New York high of the day is put in, then whether it makes sense to consider that New York high of the day will hold. And our ultimate objective is to target these Asia liquidity zones from the previous days. As I said, the current day Asia liquidity has been swept, so um, perhaps not as high probability to move down. However, there's still reason to be aggressive in your entries. And by aggressive, what I mean is perhaps you have a POI, but there's a bit of leeway in the sense that you may have a fair value gap or something of that similar nature to warrant you to extend the POI, so that your fibs and your POIs at the 50% level do somewhat align. Other than that, that's pretty much the New York outlook. I hope you have a good New York session, and we'll chat again for the end of day review.